Radical, put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. Is it possible? Now, I want to ask all you kiddies, I want to ask you a question. Is it possible for the greatest ecological catastrophe in human history, 6 full blown out nuclear meltdowns for 10 years, pushing the Pacific Ocean, the greatest ecological catastrophe in human history by 1 billion times, Pacific Ocean crashes 95%. Is it even humanly possible that no one would notice? I mean, 7-8 billion people on Earth, 333 million fainting goats in the United States. Is that even possible? All right, get at your back. Is it possible to pitch a no-hitter, a perfect game? Is it possible to pitch a game, a perfect game, that's not a perfect game? Is it possible to have a no-hitter, no hits, no walks, no errors? Of course not. That's totally 100% impossible. So I want you to get out your computers. Let's run some regression. Let's run some regression on the salmon counts, on the Columbia River, on the Rogue, on the Deschutes. Come on. This is my stats class. I'm going to be the stats professor. Okay, baseball is 150 years old in Major League Baseball. Each team plays 186 games a year, right? 164 games a year, excuse me. So 164 years while they play each other. How many teams? What, 30 teams in the majors? 28, 30? You just go through. You can find that, okay? So play each other. So we're talking 164 times 15. We can do that math, can't we? Or a couple thousand games. You know, they didn't play that many games back then. Well, they have for almost 100 years. So we can times that by 100, you know. So we got 150 games. Excuse me. We've got 64 games. Excuse me. 82 games. Each team. Times 30. And we got 2,400 games a year. Times 100. So we're talking, you know, we're probably talking 250,000 Major League Baseball games. Does that ever happen? So I want you to plug into the computer what the statistical probability of that is. You know, I used to do those on my chalkboard in my class, remember? Is it possible 3 horses could dead heat in one race? Or 3 horses could win the Triple Crown? Run that in, statistical probability. What's that? I used to say, Steve Jobs, what's that? Bren, what's that? Muhammad Atta, what's that? Remember I used to do those? It's impossible. No. There's a guy up in California over there that says it's possible? The number's Google? Yeah, that's about the odds. It's about a Google to 1. Is it possible? So get out your calculators and let's play some baseball. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play today. Fucking put me in, coach. By the way, name me this. This is a trivia question for all you guys. The only pitcher to hit a grand slam in a World Series. It's only happened once. I remember the day I was right there at that little elementary school, Westboro Elementary. My little white transistor radio, which I still have. He's a Billings, Montana guy. I think there was 2 grand slams in the playoffs by the Orioles that year. I think Cuellar hit one, didn't he? Against the Twins in the ALCS. Yeah, Dave McNally. Still the only one. They win in 79. We are family. Up 3-1, 1971. They're up 3-1. I'll never forget that. That guy, he would have been the MVP. Kiko Garcia. Martinez, California. Grew up as a picker. Oh, you don't think I grew up a picker? This is Potato farm. Oh, I grew up picking. Oh, I know how to pick. I've done it in California many times. And right here. Ooh. So get out your HP, WordPerfect, Shift F13, Novell software, iOmega right there, zip drive, floppy disk, your flux capacitor, and let's plug in some regression on the salmon returns. So in 2016, now remember kids, plug this model in, Chinook salmon go to sea for 5 years. The Columbia River in front of the dams, you know how might escape get out. 5 years ago in 2016, now remember they go to sea for 5 years, so plug this into your calculator, kids. They go to sea for 5 years. 2016, spring Chinook returning salmon, 680,000. That's with gill netting and fishing, so according to ODFWW, you can double that number because they pulled out 680,000. Gill nets don't lie. So we can add those together, you know. What's 680,000 plus 680,000? Okay, so we have that number. We go from, we have right now on today, 5 years later, we have less than 30,000. They run way over half over, peaks over. So we're going to go from with no gill netting, with no fishing. So we go from just under 1.4 million, 1.38 million. Return Chinook salmon, we'll be lucky to have 50,000. Okay, we can do that on the Rogue. The Rogue right now has 2. The Coal River hatchery is the biggest hatchery on earth. It has 2. How many did it have 5 years ago? 180,000. It has 2. It has 2. So can you run some regression on your HP flux capacitor, zip drive, iOmega, Shift F fucking 2713, Novell fucking Eric Schmidt fucking Google fucking software? What's that, Muhammad Ali? What's that, W. Bush? What's that, Barry Antoinette? A tall black guy at Harvard Law. You must be on the basketball team. Shut the fuck up. Barry Antoinette. Oh, Donnie J. Trump. Oh, we have a guy from Wharton. What's regression? Well, I thought you were in the Wharton School of Business. They're elite. Weber State's the only one that beats them. With Kevin Blanche there, when he taught there, they're the ones that beat that school. They're the only elite school that ever beats Wharton. You've got to know what statistical probabilities. You've got to know regression. How many times? What's a calculator? Can 2 horses win the Triple Crown? What's that? There's some smart ass from Utah? Yeah. The same 2 horses can dead heat in the Derby, Kentucky Derby, in the Preakness, and the Belmont. What's the odds? Way further than fucking Google. Shut the fuck up, you Princeton guys. So, run some regression. Put me in, coach. Roberto Clemente on Balco. I'm ready to play today. Put me in, coach. Kiko Garcia to play. Martinez, California. Where's Willie Stargell? Where's Willie? Oh, he's smoking a cigarette in the dugout. Where's his fucking can? Where's his can? I can't hit this guy. Who the fuck is this guy? I cannot hit this guy. I cannot hit this guy. So run that through your calculators. So what's the statistical probability of a guy pitching a game? Jim Palmer, 1969, I think was the last no-hitter. Perfect game, I don't think the Orioles have ever had one. Frank Robinson played here. Them Ogden Reds. Ricky Anderson, I was looking for my Ogden A's. Bobby Valentine. Only stadium that faced the west. John Affleck, the Tortney. Is it possible for a pitcher to pitch a no-hitter and it's not a perfect game? So he pitched a no-hitter with no hits, no walks, and no errors. That's a perfect game. It don't get more perfect. What? Oh, some smart-ass fucker from Utah says it is possible. It's like Google. Some fucking smart-ass from Weber State. We told you to shut the fuck up. Only us fucking elites from the Ivy League. Bill fucking Walmart Clinton fucking Yale, Skull and Bones fucking baseball team. George W. Bush. Didn't he play on the baseball team? Or no, that was H. W couldn't walk and chew gum. Oh, it's possible. The odds are a Google again? Yeah. Well, it just happened yesterday. The only way they could do it if they had the means to do it. Yeah, they could never cover up the fucking Pacific Ocean collapse tonight. Kevin Blanche, is it possible that there's one fucking guy in Utah, in the whole world, that goes and willing to fucking do tide pools at the low for years and years and years, to document this, to do the salmon count, to fucking do the work of 1,000 fucking guys, and he lives in the high desert of Utah, and he's the greatest marine biologist probably in the history of the world. What's the statistical probability of that? Run that through your fucking Skull and Bones, Harvard fucking law, fucking London fucking Emperor fucking School of Business. Run that one through your fucking HP, flux capacitor, shift F38, fucking word perfect, Omega fucking flux capacitor, zip drive, fucking Lotus 123. That's impossible. Oh, there's some smart-ass fucker from Weber State. Oh, it's possible. What's the odds? Google the one. The only way it could happen is if they had the means to do it. How could they have the means to do it? So let's go back again. So we're talking, each team plays 162 games a year. There's 30 teams, right? Cut that in half, right? 15 times 162. Whoa. Times 150 years. Whoa. And it's never happened. Oh, it happened yesterday. Put me in, coach. So thank you to the New York AG. So net neutrality, I'm the guy that termed the term internet kettling. She proves that the net neutrality fucking Google CIA fuckheads, sure shit, manufactured accounts, millions of fucking trolls, bots, the bot cheers, Bush, dumb, Obama, dumber, Trump, dumbest, put me in, coach. Oh, it's gonna be one of those nights. Looking west out fucking over the rail yard, John Affleck, 30th and Wall Avenue. That's 34th and Wall Avenue, Ogden, Utah. Kevin Blanche in the stands. Bobby Valentine at bat. Steve Garvey playing first. Tom Lasorda in the dugout. Oh, wait a minute. There's a pitcher coming to bat for the Billy Mustangs. And Dave McNally. Down the right field line. Going. That was an Earl Weaver guy, one of the greatest lines in fucking baseball history. He's the greatest manager ever. I love that fucker. Him, Sweet Lou Piniella, fucking Billy Martin, fuck, the art of the argument. I had to fucking, the only thing I knew how to do was play baseball and tend the odds. 99.99% of those who know what that means, tend the odd. I'm an old plastro. I tend a lot of odd in my fucking life. Put me in, coach. So, the bot years, they've been fucking kettling me. By the way, Dumb and Dumber, going right up there at my buddy Butch at the Kegs Bar. My hand's in that bit. I gotta drive the mutt cut. Or sit in the mutt cut van. Jet Daniels was a fucking prick. But Jim Carrey, he drank beer with us. He was fucking great. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play today. Look at me, I can be something. I was supposed to be in New York to see Fogarty at Prospect Park when COVID broke out. It's been tough as the activism. I can't go to hearings, I can't get in people's faces because we don't have them. No birds. Great Salt Lake, come out, KSL from Hell propaganda. Come to fucking vacation out here on the River Bird Refuge. It's right there at the Great Pacific Flyway. See the birds. Well, there aren't any. Come to Point Loma. By the way, speaking of San Diego, David Wells went to Point Loma. He's a dick. Fuck him. I was talking to some kids that played at Point Loma here just recently. I was coach for a while. He was a fucking idiot. How about the Mexican guy from up there on the hill, Hillcrest? Was he any good? How come there's no statue of him in fucking San Diego? Oh, Ted Williams? The one guy that they don't talk enough, I'm a big rock crew, was Wade Boggs. Oh. Of course, he claims he drank 107 beers fucking one day and before a game in Seattle. Said he had a hollow leg. That fucker hit. Oh, fuck. Is it even fucking possible? The Pacific Ocean wiped out. Dead tide pools right there at your fucking feet. People are still going in the tide pools, paying $25. Come on, kiddies, look, and just, yay, it's great. Look at dead tide pools. Yay, let's go to the bird refuge when the lake's fucking dry and no birds. Yay, yay. Is it possible that the Great Pacific Genocide, in 10 years, they could cover up 6 full-blown out nuclear fucking... We've always feared. Never happened before. Never happened in Chernobyl. Never happened in Mayak. Never happened in 3 Mile Island. Never happened at fucking Santa Susana. Is it even fucking possible? What's the statistical part of this? Fucking Barry Antoinette Obama, Donnie fucking Trump, W. Bush. What's the statistical? Well, you went to Wharton. What's the statistical probability? Plug it in on the salmon. Salmon. So it deviates from the mean at least 15,000 fucking times. It will deviate from the mean. You can run any regression model you want. It points right to 2011. It's called an outliner. How about the means? You want to think that was an outliner today? That was yesterday. You think that was an outliner? Perfect fucking game. An Oriole of no less. Perfect fucking game. No hits. No walkouts. No errors. It was a passed ball. Guy took first. They threw him out a second right after. Should be a big asterisk in the history books next to this guy. It's one of the greatest events in fucking human history. The perfect game that wasn't a perfect game. The meltdowns at Fukushima, Japan. And the whole world. Orwell. Shoeless Joe Jackson. That dude, put him in the Hall of Fame. Barry Bonds, put him in the fucking Hall of Fame. I said San Francisco and Powerball when that year that watched him do his thing. Whoa. Put him in the fucking Hall of Fame. Put Pete Rose in the fucking Hall of Fame. My dad was a Reds fan because Ogden Reds. Everybody around here is Reds fans. Oh, they love Frank Robinson. Saw a couple punks called him the N-word here in Ogden. My dad was so pissed when them fucking Orioles won. I said, the Orioles going to beat them. Well, that was 1970. Only pitcher in the history of fucking all those years to hit a grand slam in a World Series. By the way, what they did to Ty Cobb is bullshit. You know, that's all lies about his fucking racism. You know, that was just one dickhead who did that to him. Put me in, coach. That was a Wade Boggs special there. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play today. We are family. That couldn't happen again. Let's hurry and have the shirts made up. We are family. 1979. We used to be family. The greatest socialized middle class in the history of mankind. 1945 to 1979. Cigarette smoking fucking Hal Oliver was on that team, wasn't he? Yeah. Brooke Ryland. Chuck Kleiner was the manager, right? Willie Stargell. What's his name? He played second base. Willie? Not Axel. Tim, right? Put Barry Bonds in the fucking Hall of Fame. They had to do it because Major League Baseball wouldn't stop it. Who's to blame? The hierarchy of Major League Baseball. They're the ones after the strike in '94 that moved the fences in, that juiced the ball, that allowed here. Steroid. On Balco. They're the ones that allowed it. So you blame the fucking players? Ain't their fucking fault. Ain't their fault. How could they cover up? They'd have to have the means to do it. That's kind of big one. What a... I wonder if he knows. He knows how statistically impossible is what he did yesterday. It's statistically on the edge of impossible. Put me in, coach. No fuck. Is it possible that the Great Salt Lake just in 12 years, in 9 years goes fucking almost dry? My Spiral Jetty video's right there. That's the Bear River Bird Refuge right there. My uncle ran it. I've lived on the edge of it. This is the edge of it. I'm on the edge of it right here. Come see the tundra swans. Come see the geese. Come see the millions of fucking ducks. Come see the sandhill cranes. You see one? You see one? It's May. You see one? It's sunset. Is it possible people will go through Point Loma? Them pointers? Mission Bay accomplished. They're the Buccaneers. What about them Vikings? La Jolla. Conquer the world. Slums of La Jolla. Tourmaline Canyon to the Great Salt Lake. Kevin Blanch my whole life. On these. There's no birds. Is it fucking possible? So Glenn Hubbard, my buddy, I grew up playing baseball with him and his brothers. In 1988, in Norman High, we're all sitting around, we're having a party. I'm an old Dodger fan. Not because of that, because of here, because of Lasorda. I was rooting for Lasorda. Kirk Gibson. Glenn's on second base with them fucking A's been traded from the Braves. Those Hubbard boys still want to kill me. Jumping up. I don't believe what I just saw. I don't fuck